Good morning. I would like to call this March 6th, 2019 meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I would like to remind those in the audience, if you'll please silence your telephone or turn it off so that we don't have any interruptions since we are live. This is the meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by the planning staff. We're going to ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request, and then we will give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against the request or to inquire about the said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case, and once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to City Council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the City Council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public hearing, and this is called the first reading. The said council shall consider the case, review PAC and planning department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter, and council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. Commissioners, we did have minutes that were sent out to us prior to this meeting, and we will be able to submit those as accepted unless any of you have any changes that need to be made. And I've seen it. All right. So we will accept those as submitted. Thank you. Our first agenda item today is REZN-02-19-0163. And this is a request to rezone 3.03 acres of land located at 6,000 Warm Springs Road. The current zoning is NC, which is neighborhood commercial, and the proposed zoning is RO, residential office. The proposed use is a senior living facility, 55 and over, affordable housing. Robert McKenna is the applicant, and this property is located in Council District 8, Allen. Mr. Renfro for the staff report.
Yes, ma'am. General land use is inconsistent for Plan Area B. Current land use designation is undeveloped. Future land use is single-family residential. It is compatible with the existing land uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. Average annual daily trips will increase by 278 trips if used for senior adult housing use. The level of service will remain at B. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of the Columbus Consolidated Government for Senior Adult Housing. There will be no school impact. The site shall include a Category C buffer along the property lines bordering by the SFR3 zoning district. Those 3 options are 20 feet with a certain amount of canopy trees, understory trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, 10 feet with a certain amount of shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, and a wood fence or masonry wall, 30 feet undisturbed natural buffer. Fort Benning, no recommendation from Fort Benning or DRI recommendation. 90 property owners within 300 feet of the subject property were notified of the rezoning request. The planning department received 3 calls regarding the rezoning, 3 in opposition. Summary of that was they were concerned about traffic, and one citizen had a concern about more high density in the area, and there was no additional information.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for Mr. Renfro with the staff report? All right, well, the applicant has already come forward, so if you'll state your name and address and give us a brief overview.
Good morning. I'm Rob McKenna, and I represent TBG Development Services in connection with rezoning this 3.03 acre property known as 6,000 Warm Springs Road. This property is a portion of an 11 acre tract, 8 of which were already rezoned to RO 2 years ago. So it's currently an 11 acre parcel. 8.5 or 11.5. 8.5 were rezoned 2 years ago. We're coming back for the remainder of the 3. So TBG is a multifamily developer out of Atlanta. He has He's been doing it for 13 years and owns over 1,350 apartment units and senior living units. So this is going to be a senior living unit facility, which will be a market rate facility with approximately 80 units, depending on how everything works out when we go through planning and engineering. The front facade will be masonry and hardy plank, so it'll be an attractive building. I wish I had some pictures for you, and I'll get those for you, but we haven't had those worked up yet. So as planning said, there's going to be no impact on traffic, really. There's no impact on schools. It's served by all the city services. We're talking about a $9 million investment in building this facility. And as we all know, the population is aging, so we do need senior living facilities. There's going to be economic impact on the job creation side, plus some jobs when the senior living facility is completed for all kinds of consulting or contractor services, HVAC services, and on-site people. The ad valorem taxes, we're going to have a big impact on the ad valorem taxes for the city. So we're talking probably over 6,000% increase over what's currently being charged on that property because of the $9 million investment. The surrounding properties, the property immediately adjacent to us, and I think I wrote this wrong in the packet that was delivered to you on Friday, I think. Did it go out? Yeah. So the packet that you have, I wrote it a little bit wrong. The 3 acres is actually next to the GC, so to our immediate west is GC. To our immediate east is currently RO. Across the street is RO. And then adjacent to the RO further east is Flat Rock Park. So that won't ever be developed. And then beyond that is another set of apartments that's currently zoned RMF 3, I think. So we believe this rezoning request is appropriate, particularly given that we just rezoned the other 8 acres adjacent to it 2 years ago to the same zoning. And I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. McKenna? Commissioners? I see none. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? No one. Anyone who would like to speak against this request? So there is none. Thank you. Do I hear a motion if there's no further discussion?
Madam Chair, as it relates to matter REZN 02190163, a request to rezone 3.03 acres of land located at 6,000 Warm Springs Road, currently zoned as neighborhood commercial, proposed zoning residential office, and in compliance with the review from the city staff, I move that we approve this request.
Do I hear a second? And Mr. Bollinger, I hear a second. All of those in favor, please raise your right hand. And it is unanimous, so we will submit that for approval. Thank you. That brings us to our next zoning case, which is REZN-02-19-0168, and this is a request to rezone 28.97 acres of land located at 579 Brennan Road. The current zoning is GC, General Commercial. The proposed zoning is RO, Residential Office. The proposed use is multifamily. Lucy Jones is the applicant, and this property is located in Council District 3, Huff. Mr. Renfro.
Yes, ma'am. General land use is inconsistent for planning area E. Current land use designation is general commercial. Future is light manufacturing and industrial. It is compatible with the existing uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. Average annual daily trips will increase by 559 trips. If used for multifamily use, the level of service will remain B. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of Columbus Consolidated Government for apartment usage, no school impact, no buffer requirements, no Fort Benning recommendation, no DRI recommendation. 96 property owners within the 300 feet of the subject properties were notified of the rezoning request. The planning department received 1 phone call regarding the rezoning. It was in opposition, and they were concerned about the buffer requirements. So, no additional information.
Thanks. Commissioners, are there any questions regarding the staff report? All right, if the applicant will please come forward and state your name and address and give us an overview.
Good morning. I'm Lucy Jones with 2900 Warm Springs Road, and I'm excited to present to y'all this morning this case. This about 30 acres sits at 4 or 5 points where a new roundabout's going in. It's a really blighted 30 acres. It's left with vacant trailers and rundown nightclubs, and we want to come in and clean it up, tear all down all the existing structures, tear them down, and there's a really nice new church and a nice daycare on the site. Spencer High School is within eyesight across the street, and we'd like to come in and put in a nice, affordable Class A apartment complex. There'll be 3-story units with 3-story buildings with 84 units, a really nice clubhouse with a fitness center, picnic areas, business center. Across the street and adjacent to the property, there are already sidewalks and bus stops in place. There's grocery nearby. So it's got all the amenities that families would need. So I think it's really going to come in and clean up. They're only going to use a few of the acres. The rest, a lot of it lies in the floodplain. So they're really just going to take 30 acres and really clean it up and only have the benefit of the use of a few of the acres. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. You've got pictures. John, do you have those to show them? Or,
I did.
So the developer's been in business for about 27 years. They've done over 140 of these projects across the country. I've worked with them many times, a class act group, and I think you'd be proud to have this and really clean up this corner of Columbus that really needs it.
Mr. Kenner.
In this rezoning, you have 2 separate parcels of land which are away from the main parcel. What are you planning on doing with those?
The seller of the property would not just sell us what we needed. We had to buy it all, so there are no plans at this time. The only part that we plan to use is on the site plan that I presented. And at this time, the only plans are to build 84 units of affordable Class A apartments for families. And if we decide to do something with those at a later date, right now we just plan on those being green space and just great addition to the property for those that are passing by. If you drive by now, it's not attractive. So we'll clean it up because obviously we want to get market rent at these apartments. And so we'll not have an eyesore there. It'll look a lot better than it looks today. And the buffer question you had, obviously in opposition regarding the buffer, of course, we'll follow all the city's buffer requirements.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Yes, Ms. Jones, quick question for you. This area here is really going through a lot of growth and development. Like, as you stated, there's Spencer, and then there's the new roundabout they're putting there, and they're also developing down Casita in preparation of the new interstate exit. It's a lot of changing going on in that community, and I'm just curious, did you guys have any conversations with any local residents, particular like Macedonia Ministries, which are right there? Have you had any conversation with the church leadership?
I have not. I think it's going to bring them great church members. When I was visiting the property, I tried to go in and knock on the door. It wasn't on a Sunday when I went. I just went during a work day and no one was there. But I just wanted to tell them we would be a welcome addition, I think, to their community and bring them some new church members. And the product, did you see the pictures in the packet?
Yes.
I think it's going to be a great asset to the church.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. It's just that, out of respect, because I was personally involved, my family, in a situation where development was trying to come right in my backyard and say they had been working on it 2 years and no one had opened their mouths to say anything to us.
Right. Well,
right
I know that they were contacted by the city.
Well, that's procedure. I'm talking about you as the developer.
I did try to go to the church. I actually went back there yesterday. And, there wasn't a sign that said, you could come and visit during these business hours. And I'll be honest with you, the last few Sundays I've been out of town with my children on traveling sports.
I understand. I understand, and trust me, I totally understand. I just know that residents are growing extremely tired of developers coming in telling them what's going to be good for their community and not having a conversation with them. Yes, I've seen the pictures. Yes, the facility is nice, but I don't live in that neighborhood. And so I would just, right now, I'm not saying either way where my support lies. What I'm saying is I would have been a lot more comfortable if I would have heard that you say, yes, we talked to them.
Do you have a contact for me that might be better? I've just called and gotten the answering machine and gotten no return call. But if you have a contact, I'd love to sit down and meet with them.
All right. We'll make that happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners, for Ms. Jones? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? If so, if you'll please come forward and if you'll come to the mic. And when you get up here, if you'll state your name and address for us and then give us your overview of your comment.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Williams, and I'm here representing Macedonia Christian Ministries, the assistant living home that we have next door to us, as well as our daycare center, Dominion Children's Academy. I do want to say we do welcome and we do support the rezoning because I do think it would be a great access in our community. The only issue that we did have, and I spoke with Mr. Renault about the buffer, because we also want to make sure that, our property will still be able to be maintained. And we are seeking and asking that at least a 20 feet, natural buffer would be available to us at that particular time. We do have business hours every day, Monday through Friday. We are at the office from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's Monday through Thursday. Fridays, we are at our office from 9 a.m. to 12. So I'm sorry if you left a message and no one was there.
That's okay.
And our offices are in the back of the church.
That might have been my problem.
They're in the back.
We're going to have you on mic if you're going to, yeah, we'd have to make sure we get you on mic.
No, I was just going to say, I'd be happy to come and meet with you all if that would make you feel more comfortable, but we'll obviously abide by all the buffer requirements, and I think you'll be very well pleased. It'll be, and if you'd like to see pictures, I'll be happy to give you those today to take with you to take back.
We would appreciate that.
It is going to be a family development, so hopefully you'll get a lot of families to come to the church.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Ms. Jones. And my grandmother used to always say that God has a funny sense of humor. And so we see it at work here today. So, Ms. Jones, please get with them and go by and meet with the pastor, because they're great people over there. And I was looking forward to connecting you with them. I didn't think they were going to be in opposition because they love the redevelopment in that area. But I just wanted them to be respected by having a conversation. So I'm glad this is happening. This makes me feel very good. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and speak in opposition of the request? All right, I see none. Commissioners, is there any other discussion or any questions you have before I ask for a motion? Do I hear a motion? Mr. Greenblatt?
Madam Chair, regarding REZN-02-19-0168, request to rezone 28.97 acres of land located at 579 Brennan Road from GC General Commercial to the proposed zoning of RO Residential Office. I move that we approve.
Second.
And all those in favor, please raise your right hand. And it is unanimous. So we will recommend that for approval. And I am going to say, as commissioners, we're expected to ride by these sites, and I'm sure all of you did. I am so excited for what's going to happen in that little corner of our city with this development. I think it's going to be a good thing, and I'm grateful to see some positive, good development in that area. So thank you, Mrs. Jones, for bringing that forward.
Madam Chair, do we,
yes.
Just procedural, do we need to add all of these addresses in the verbal motion because there are multiple addresses?
Mr. Renfro?
Just say all the addresses in the application.
You can make a motion just to reference the staff report.
I will amend my motion to reference all the addresses in the staff report.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We're good? Okay. Thank you. Any other new business? I know we've got our next meeting March the 20th.
That's it.
Pardon?
That's it, March the 20th.
Okay. And I'm not aware of any old business that we have. So we are adjourned. Thank you so much.